Okay, adding integers, 8th grade edition. All right, so we are going to add some integers together. The top part of this is adding integers that have the same signs. So the first one is kind of crazy. They're both positive numbers, but technically they're both integers. They don't have fractions, they don't have decimals, they're just whole numbers. And so if I have to add these without a calculator, I'm just going to go over here to the side and go, okay, 105 plus 68, and just do the math. So 5 plus 8 is, anybody?
13.
13, thank you. Put down the 3, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Bring down the 1, so that's just 173, and we'll box that answer. So the second one, they're both negatives. So what do we do? Just add it, okay? So I'm just going to add 14 and 30, so I'll do that right here. 14 and 30. Okay, I get 44. So is the answer 44? Be negative 44. Good. So last year we did a lot of activities where we thought about these as being worms, and if you add worms and worms together, you get more worms. That was a strange Halloween type activity. We also talked about these being red chips, and red chips, nothing cancels, you just get more of them. And then there's another one over here where they're both negative. So when you have the same signs, you just go ahead and add them. What's 6 plus 8? Yeah.
14.
14. So put down the 4, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5. And then since these are both negatives, we just keep that. It's negative 54. So it's pretty simple when they have the same sign. So if we were going to sum this up, if you're adding numbers with the same sign, we just add the numbers and you keep the sign. So basically, if you have a positive and a positive, the answer is positive. It's a negative and a negative, the answer is negative. Okay, so we're just reviewing a little from last year. The numbers are a little bigger. All right, so down here there's some more examples, and these have different signs. So last year we would have represented positive numbers with black chips. I'm not going to lay down 114 black chips and 32 red chips and cancel them out. I'm also not going to draw 114 spiders and 32 worms at war. It was epic. So we have to have a different way of thinking about it. So 32 of these are going to cancel 32 of those. Who wins, the positives or the negatives? Positives are going to win because there's more of them. How do we figure out how many are left when we're done? Jaden, you've answered a lot. TJ's answered a lot. Let's get somebody else going. Answer the question. What am I going to do with these numbers to figure it out? Am I going to add them like I did on the top? Good, I'm going to subtract them. So over here, I'm just going to have 114, and I'm going to subtract 32. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 3 you can't do, so I borrow, make that 0, make that 11. Or you could just look at that and go, oh, it's 11 minus 3. Yeah. So anyway, we get 82. And is it positive or negative? Positive, because you had more positives to start with. So I think you guys got the representations we did last year, but we're not going to draw huge, massive pictures. You need to have in your head, when you're working with these bigger numbers and possibly have no access to a calculator, how would I do this? So if I have 15 and negative 37, am I going to put 15 minus 37 like I did on the first one? No, what am I going to do instead? Go ahead.
37 minus 15.
37 minus 15. Why am I going to go that direction? Can you explain why? Go ahead, since you told me.
Because you don't put the smaller number on the top because you can't do that without it.
Okay, so it kind of messes up subtraction if the smaller number is on top. We also need to think about, before you do anything, which one's going to win. We always thought of this as sort of a contest last year. There's 15 positives, there's 37 negatives. The negatives are going to win. That's the one that's going to have stuff left over. So the 37 is going to go on the top. So 37 minus 15, even though we kind of have a minus sign on the 37, which is weird. So 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. What's the sign on my answer? Rabbit. Negative. Because the negatives win. We get negative 22. Okay? So let's do, I have 2 more. So I have negative 48 and positive 21. So I'm kind of getting that we're subtracting. Which number am I going to put on top? Just really quick. 48 minus 21. You guys got this really fast. Is my answer positive or negative? Negative. So I'm going to have negative 27. Okay. So I'm trying to think who hasn't answered yet. Johnny, you're going to help me with the next one. You are. So I'm subtracting. Which one of these numbers is going to go on top? 80. So I'm going to have 80 minus 32. So 0 minus 2 I can't do. A lot of people mess that up and they put 2 down because they're thinking of adding. If I have 0 minus anything, I pretty much have to borrow. So it's going to be 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. And then, Johnny, since this is your problem, is my answer going to be positive or negative?
Positive.
Okay, can you explain why it's positive? The positive number is bigger. Okay, this went way better than I thought. I probably could have done 2 of those, and you guys would have been good. Killing you with examples, but that's okay. So down here, let's sum up what we did. If you're adding numbers with different signs, what am I doing to the numbers? Subtracting. Good. Subtracting the numbers, and we're putting the bigger number on top. So you might put that in parentheses, bigger number on top. When you're taking notes, I make note taking pretty easy, but one of the things you always want to do is just make little notes to yourself if you think there might be a little something that might mess you up later. And then the sign is determined by whether the negatives or positives win. And I'm putting that in quotes because that's just sort of how we talked about it last year. Okay, now down at the bottom, I have some story problems. So we're mixing it up a little bit. We're reviewing a bunch of stuff that took us a couple weeks last year in one day. You guys are doing great, but before I throw things with decimals and fractions at you, which we just barely touched on last year, oops, we're going to try to make sure we have this down. Okay, so this is old, because I should have changed this to one of your names. Sam owes Mrs. Phillimore 20 pencils. If he brings her a 12-pack, how much does he still owe? Now, you guys can subtract that and come up with the answer, right? So let's go ahead and put the answer down. How many will he owe me? 8. He's going to owe me 8 pencils. But we have to be able to go deeper and represent the problem with integers. So when you're owing 20 pencils, what kind of a number are we looking at? Go ahead.
Negative.
Negative. When you owe something, that's negative. So basically we're starting with negative 20, and then when he brings me a 12-pack, that's positive. And then if I take negative 20 plus 12, we're going to write a whole number sentence. Then we're going to put the answer as negative 8. So it's 8 pencils owed. And I should write that in a sentence. Oh, here, I have the sentence with a fill in the blank. I did think of that. Sam still owes Mrs. Phillimore 8 pencils. So here's your complete sentence. I made it kind of easy for today because I just wanted to get through this. Let's do the next one. I promise that we're almost done. All right. And this is SP practice because I copied it from somewhere else and forgot to delete that part. Let's just go over that. You overdrew your bank account by $43 last month. What does that mean if you overdraw your account?
You take too much money.
Take too much money out. Now, how can that happen? If you go to use your debit card, won't it know if there's no money? How could I actually overdraw my account? Do you guys know? How?
So you keep up with your bills, you keep it up with your bills, and you're going to spend a lot of money.
Well,
it goes over the amount there.
so yeah, so I have my account set up to pay bills on certain days before they're due. But if I go spend the money out of the account before that comes through, that could be one way. Another way is if you write a check and it doesn't get cashed until later, then you could use your card, or you could write checks to everybody that and not have any money in the account, and then when they go to cash it, you've overdrawn. So you overdrew your bank account by $43. So oops, I did the math wrong, or I just wasn't keeping track. The bank then charged you a $30 overdraft fee, and I think it's actually higher now. I think it might be $35 or $40 every time something comes through. So if you have 3 things come through, yeah, you're going to pay all those charges. It's
Over $100.
it gets a little crazy. So how much money do you need to put in the bank to break even? So let's represent the problem. If you overdrew your account, this is money that you owe somebody. That the bank, if you're a good customer, they might pay it the first time. You might have it set it up to take money out of your savings. So you're going to owe the bank negative $43. And then they're charging you another $30 overdraft fee. So is that a positive or a negative? Negative. So I'm going to add another negative $30. And so that would be, if I add those together, how much? Just go ahead and say it.
73.
So negative 73, the negative meaning that I owe. So the answer, since it doesn't have a sentence there, I'm just going to write a little sentence here. Since it says you, I need to deposit, there's a fancy word, $73. And I can just use the dollar signs there. These sentences do not have to be complex sentences with multiple parts with lots of commas. You just want to answer the question that's asked. It says, how much money do you need to put in the bank to break even? I should have used the word deposit, but who knows what was going on in my life when I wrote this problem. So I need to deposit or put into the bank $73. So the thing that we're really focusing here, yeah, you guys can come up with that. That's pretty much just arithmetic. This is the part we have to know. Do I know how to represent it? Not just how to get the answer. Can I explain this representation? Do I understand that owing money is negative? So all of that is cool. I'm not going to do the practice page today. Well, because we only have until 10. So I'll give you a few minutes if you need to color on your minifigures. It looked like everybody had the challenges done. If you don't need to do that, then you can veg for a couple of minutes. Don't enjoy this for too long. You will get assignments soon. I'm trying to slowly break us into school. Huh? If you're done with everything, I don't care. You just have to have them picked up in 7 minutes and put away. I know. They're just so much fun. And there's more of them than there were last year. Although I have some of them in bags right now for another activity, but there's still quite a few in there. So if you guys turned in both your minifigure and your challenge, let's just make sure. And if the internet works well today, I'll actually put grades in your Registar. I tried last night, it didn't work. Okay. That's Jaden. That's Johnny.
And my minifigure is finished.
Okay.
I'm E.T.
I saw that. Man, you're fancy. You're like coloring over other colors to make new colors. Oh, am I still recording? That would be good. I am. I'm gonna